What's up, guys? Welcome back. I'm Vinny,
I'm Gianni.
and this is Tiki-Taka.
Tiki-Talk.
Alrighty, so today, guys, we're going to be going over the, what would we say, craziest Champions League final that we've seen?
The most intense, just honestly, I was on the edge of my seat watching the entire game. I didn't know what was going to happen the whole game. It was just, I don't think I could, I couldn't sit through it, I couldn't sit through it.
Well, something like that.
We're obviously joking, right? I think that was one of the worst Champions League finals I've ever watched. I thought I was going to fall asleep.
I mean, to be fair, I would say that the last couple of years have been pretty dry in terms of Champions League finals. I think this is the first time since, I want to say, 2018 that both teams have scored in a Champions League final.
That would be correct, unfortunately, because the World Cup always has really good finals, in my opinion. But the Champions League, those games are just not good. The Bayern Munich versus PSG game was absolutely incredible. That was the final, in my opinion.
Honestly, and I mean, like it's such a stark contrast, really, when you take a look at that game, especially that first leg, that 5-4, and you just compare it to football that we see throughout the rest of the world, throughout the rest of Europe. I mean, it really puts to shame a lot of certainly the Serie A that I've been watching.
Certainly. And I just want to mention, I just want to give an apology to the PSG fans out there because I said that Liverpool would battle them, and I honestly did not have them even beating Bayern, not winning. I mean, once I saw they were going to play Arsenal, I thought they would be Arsenal, but I really didn't see PSG winning this Champions League, and they proved me wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the second year in a row now. They've gone back-to-back, the first team to do so since Real Madrid's three-peat. It's really incredible because once again this season it looked like a PSG team that kind of started slow in the Champions League, didn't even qualify for the top 8, but once the knockouts come knocking, they're ready to turn it into third, fourth gear.
Yeah, for sure. One thing that I think is very important about this PSG team is that the lineup is already like engraved in my brain, right? Similar to that Barcelona team that you can remember, similar to some other very famous teams that like only very few teams I think I can like name the starting 11 like consistently. Mm-hmm. And this PSG team is one of them because this is the exact same squad last year.
Absolutely.
That won the
barring the goalkeeper.
Right.
Absolutely incredible. Why don't we talk about the game itself, though? You kind of mentioned it before. A pretty slow game, I thought. It's almost unfortunate that Arsenal scored so early on. Great for Havertz to capitalize on that mistake. This is now his second goal in a Champions League final. But to score so early in like the 5th or 6th minute, it really kind of took the sting out of the game a little bit because we know Arsenal and we know their game plan. They're gonna park the bus. They're gonna wait on the counter, and that's pretty much what we saw in the first half.
Yeah, for sure. I want to mention that the mistake that happened for Havertz's goal was Marquinhos. I don't think he had a good game. He did not play up to the standards of a Champions League final, in my opinion. And once I saw that goal, I was just like, oh, man, I'm in for a treat. And boy, was I right. And Arsenal, there were times in the first half where their entire team was in their own box in the first half, winning 1-0. Mind you, I think Arsenal in the entire game had 23% possession, around that number. Mm-hmm. It's similar to when Arsenal last played a Champions League final and they had 27% possession in that final. But the difference between this final and last final is that Arsenal in the final prior, they got a red card early on. In this game, they're winning 1-0, and it's just, I don't know, it's anti-football for me.
No, I agree. And you mentioned Marquinhos having a bad game. To be honest, I actually don't think that the players themselves for PSG and a lot even for Arsenal had the best game. I mean, even after Arsenal scored, PSG kind of struggled to create chances in that game.
Yeah.
A lot of shots from outside the box, kind of nothing really on target. And that's a credit to Arsenal as well, who, again, we all know their strong defensive capabilities. They do have the best defense in Europe. So it's not super surprising, but I kind of would have wanted to see a little bit more from PSG's attacking players. I thought Doué didn't really have the best game. I think Kvara tried, and we can see that certainly in the second half when he won that penalty. And then Dembele, of course, putting it away. It wasn't a game of great chances from either team. And, when we go to the penalty shootout, it's interesting because I thought Gabriel was probably having one of the best games, only for him to miss the crucial penalty at the end, which is kind of unfortunate. But I mean, aside from that, it's honestly the Champions League final, barring last year where PSG destroyed Inter, has been a cagey affair, really 1-0s, 2-0s, and it is kind of the nature of a final. Teams don't really want to give up too much, so I think that's basically what we could have expected going into this game, and that is ultimately what we got.
Yeah, I mean, immediately my first thought on that is when I was watching the game, it almost felt like the PSG players, they were kind of like tired. They felt depleted. And that's credit to Arsenal because to defend like that, and if you're a PSG player and you're 1-0 down in a Champions League final and that Arsenal team is defending like crazy, mentally it's much more difficult than it is physically, like because you start getting tired, like, oh my God, we cannot get into the box. We cannot generate chances. That tactic of staying in your own box and defending a 1-0 for so long, eventually a team is going to get in the box and generate chances. And that's it. They tied it up 1-1, excuse me. Dembele did not play that well. He put away that penalty. Either way, Dembele has been a little bit overrated in my opinion this season. I think Doué deserves a lot more credit for this PSG team because he saved them a lot in previous Champions League games.
I would also say Kvara. I mean, especially what he did against Bayern.
Kvara is obviously, I think, who everyone is talking about. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be very tragic not to see him in the World Cup. However, Dembele, I want to mention, he scored the last 3 goals of PSG in the Champions League.
That's 4 GA as well, I think, in total in Champions League finals.
So I don't think he's been playing that well, but he's the one that has been coming up for PSG.
He's clutch.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you what you thought about tactically that breakdown, because I've been seeing a lot of people say that, well, if Arsenal tried to beat PSG at their own game, they tried to play open, expansive football, they would have been caught out.
The game goes in waves, right? Like there are moments where you need to hold your defense, and there are moments that you need to go and attack. To defend well, you need to attack well, right? And I think Arsenal has the capabilities to do that. They have a top striker, they have a top winger, but they have kind of a tactic where they try and get corners, they try and waste time, and that kind of it instills a mindset into your players, right? It instills a mindset that, okay, I have to defend first. Okay, I have to waste time first instead of going and scoring that goal. Arsenal is never going to win a game if they try and defend the whole game. It's not going to happen.
But Arsenal's attack isn't nearly as good as PSG's.
No, it's nowhere near it. And if Arsenal was going to go back and forth like PSG, like we saw in the Bayern Munich PSG game, that was never going to work. PSG would have won 5-0. Mm-hmm. Forget about it. Yeah. But in the first few minutes of the game, Arsenal was pressing. That's how they got their goal.
I think they needed to be a little more adventurous.
Yeah, this is how I see it. The second half starts, right? You've maintained your 1-0. The next 15 minutes, you're pressing up. You're doing the same thing again. And then you're going to drop back. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to defend. Because in those 15 minutes of pressing, now you're like, okay, I control the game. I'm going to have possession of the ball. Don't let PSG touch it. PSG would go have the ball for at least 2 minutes at a time. And a weird chance would come. It would just be like a cross. It would just be something strange. And then Arsenal would just kick it out.
Yeah, I mean,
and then they would all drop back to defend that.
And we were seeing even minute 45, Arsenal were delaying throw-ins, and Arsenal will probably look back at that final thinking what could have been. It's a little bit disappointing from them, though, because they just played a final against Manchester City. You would have hoped that after that they would have learned from their mistakes. They didn't really. And so now we're going into it, a season that Arsenal can, ultimately say was very successful, having won the Premier League with a little bit of a sour taste in their mouths. But what would you say overall is kind of the outlook for this season for PSG and for Arsenal? Let's start with Arsenal.
To start with Arsenal, sure. I think it's a very positive season for Arsenal, without a doubt. They've instilled a winning mindset back into a team that did not have it after a very long time. They won the Premier League. Winning the Premier League, many people argue that it's more difficult than winning the Champions League. I'm not going to get into that. That's not the point of this. However, now those players and now that group, now the fans, they know they're winners, and they had a taste. They were so close to the Champions League, so close. They went to penalty shootouts. Listen, I don't like how they play. I think they're anti-football, but they made it to penalty shootouts in the Champions League. They were this close.
I am a little less optimistic about Arsenal this season than you are. I think when we look at Arsenal, we have a team that has spent hundreds of millions of euros net over the past couple of seasons. And ultimately they kind of scraped the Premier League, a
Yeah.
very weak Premier League.
Yeah. May I cut you off? Luis Enrique has been there for how long?
So this would have been his third year,
How long has been Michael Arteta in the club?
about 6.
Yeah, that's a big difference. Another thing I want to mention is Luis Enrique. What a job he's doing.
He is a fantastic coach.
I think in this moment he is one of the best coaches in the world without a doubt. Could even be number one in this moment.
That's not ridiculous to say.
That's not ridiculous. But yeah, definitely the thing with Arsenal is that they've put it's obviously a lot of money that they've put into this. But these projects are like that. I'm going to cut them a little bit of slack because they weren't a winning team before them, and to become a winning team is very difficult.
I don't disagree, but let's look at Arsenal's competition for just a second. A Manchester City team that was on its last legs under Pep, a Liverpool team that just completely fell off the face of the earth after all of the signings. Slot got sacked. Even Pep has left City now, although that's not really because of him doing a bad job. That's just, end of a cycle. You had a Chelsea team that finished, 9th mid-table in the Premier League. A Spurs that are lucky to stay up. I mean, you had Villa that had a decent season, as well as Manchester United. But their standards, Villa, they've been great the last couple of seasons. Didn't make the Champions League or didn't make the top 4, although having won the Europa League this season, they were very good. A Manchester United team that under Carrick has improved massively, but I mean, were they ever ready to step up to Arsenal and compete for the Prem? So I would say that this season, and Arsenal, by the way, almost threw it away. If it wasn't for a couple of the last results, going their way, particularly in terms of Manchester City dropping points to Everton and Bournemouth, they might not have even won the Premier League this season. They lost that crucial second tie in the Premier League against Manchester City. They were a little bit fortunate to win. And then when you look at their Champions League run, I mean, up until the final, great job for them to finish first in the group phase. But up until the final, who did they play? Sporting, Leverkusen, Atleti. Not the upper echelon, not the highest tier of competition. Whereas you look at PSG, who, again, had that crazy tie against Bayern, the tie previously. They really went through it, PSG. And my question is, for Arsenal, really, what's going to happen when a Manchester City gets back up to form? What's going to happen when Liverpool gets back up to form? Maybe when Manchester United, when maybe if they take that next step in the following season, are they going to be better? Is my question. I think a lot will depend on who they sign this summer.
Yeah,
I think Gyökeres, we've had this talk plenty of times. He's had a decent season. Can they do better? Will they try to do better, Arsenal? I think that's an important question to ask. Because, when you look at PSG, the opposition that they faced, at least in the Champions League, they just had Bayern in the previous round, where we're talking about one of the best games that we've ever seen. And Arsenal, they've played Sporting, Leverkusen, Atletico Madrid.
Hold on. Is that Bayern Munich versus PSG game the best game played in the Champions League history? Not leg, not 2 legs.
Yeah,
just game.
That's a good question. There's a couple games that we can look back on and say the Liverpool-Barcelona 4-0 was a great game. I'm looking at
the 4-0. I don't think it compares to a 5-4 though. Where
in
both
terms
teams
of
go
the
back
overall, you'd have to use the context of the previous.
Yeah, of
if we're talking one single
game.
I mean, you know what? I always look back to the Milan-Liverpool final, that 3-3. It's tough to say. It's definitely up there though. But yeah, when you look at that, the opposition that PSG versus Arsenal they faced to get to the final, it's a huge, really a gap. And PSG are a little bit fortunate in the sense that they're so far and away the best team in France that they can afford to play pretty much their B team and win the French league.
That's what they did all season.
Which is exactly what they did. Dembele started less than 10 games, I think, this season in Ligue 1. That's a little bit of a bonus that PSG have that Arsenal obviously didn't have the luxury of just being able to rest their team.
That's why I mentioned that they won the Premier League, and I brought that up, and I thought it was a really important thing because they made it to the Champions League final and they were that close. I was really emphasizing that for that reason. PSG, really their main goal was the Champions League and will be the Champions League, because winning Ligue 1 does not matter that much, you know? Another important thing to mention is what you said in a previous episode, where the teams that have to go through the harder paths are the one that win the Champions League, and I think that's absolutely correct. And we see it in different tournaments as well, World Cup being one of them. The team, you always have to beat the best. You always have to play against the best to win and be the best as well.
As for PSG, where are we putting them now in terms of their legacy as a club? Because they've just won 2 Champions League back-to-back. You know, they're a young club, obviously. They've only been around since 1970. What's kind of their ranking now?
I understand the question that you're imposing, but they're an oil money club.
That's true.
I don't know how much I can give them right now in terms of legacy. This is just a time thing, right? I just need to see them do it again and again for years to come. That's what legacy really means to me, because they're an oil money club before the Saudi money. I mean, what was it?
Well,
It was PSG.
Let me ask you this: are they bigger than Manchester City?
Bigger than Manchester City? That's a good question, because Manchester City is also
an oil club.
An oil club, right? No, City. They're not above City.
You don't think so?
They're not above City. No.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
no, not yet. Maybe like next year that could change.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna go for the three-peat. That would be quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, there I will change. But with Pep Guardiola and how he evolved the game through City's tactics, that's why I'm also putting them a little bit higher up, just because of what it did for the game itself. PSG have only just won things, right? That's all they've really done. They haven't really evolved the game yet.
Yeah.
They don't need to evolve the game for them to have legacy. Don't get that twisted. But that's just the merits that I'm basing it off of.
Anything on the penalties in the game in terms of the shootout, the penalty that was called, the penalties that maybe were not called?
So immediately, if we want to get into the things that were a little bit controversial in that game, first things first is the Havertz goal. I think it was Trossard that was pressing, and it hit his arm. The ball hit his arm, right? I don't know. So, there are times where I'm just like, is that not a handball?
What about the Saka kind of kicked it
where
up?
he just plays volleyball in the box, you know, he's playing basketball in the box. That's what he's doing. I don't know. He was dribbling in that box. He looked like Jalen Brunson up in that thing, but I don't know. They don't call those things now. I honestly do not understand how the handball rule works.
I don't think anybody really does.
No one does. It's a natural position if you lay your arm down, if you have your arm to your body, but sometimes your arm will be up here. And they don't call that, so I'm confused as well. So
and it's different with every league as well. The handball.
Absolutely.
Rule. In terms of the penalty on Kvara, I thought that was a fair.
Yeah,
call.
That was a pen. Whoa! The World Cup is here. The World Cup is now. If you're gonna go see the U.S. men's national team in the West Coast, specifically in Las Vegas, if you're into longevity, if you're into your health, if you're into just wellness overall, I got something for you.
It's an AI robotics performance wellness center. Check this out from JewelFit.
JewelFit is using AI and robotics to revolutionize fitness. An immersive gamified experience. 5 compound exercises in 15 minutes twice a week. No sweat. Simply push or pull. 5 compound exercises in an automated circuit. Compete with yourself or the JewelFit community. Using force-matching technology, JewelFit works more of your muscle fibers than you could ever work in a traditional gym with an unlimited safe negative.
Before I go into the penalty shootout, I want to mention how this game was the exact same game as the Euro 2021 final between Italy and England.
I hear that.
Up to the penalty shootout too, by the way.
Yeah.
Both games in the minute 5, minute 6, goals from the team that was going to lose. We saw that Luke Shaw goal against Italy where I was like, oh no, this is going to be a long game. Same thing happened. Kai Havertz scores and I was like, oh no, it's going to be a long game. I've seen this one before.
Yeah.
Up to the same minute, Dembele's goal was in the 66th minute. I think Italy scored in the 67th. That's incredible.
And I think both games kind of go to show that the team that presses, the team that wants it, the team that takes it to the other.
Oh yeah.
Is ultimately the one, they say fortune favors the bold. We can see that in both of these finals here.
Absolutely, absolutely.
In the same way that England kind of sat back, Arsenal pretty much copied them completely.
Oh yeah. And it has to do with it's that mentality that England has, right? England hasn't won a major trophy in a very long time. Obviously, they're going to be looking to change that in this World Cup, but I don't think they have it to win the World Cup, just because it's a mentality thing. Because I think when they get to that game, that they're going to play against a powerhouse, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to sit back. And in terms of the penalty shootout, the exact same thing happened from the Italy-England game and PSG-Arsenal. It's the exact same thing. The winning team scores, the other team scores. Okay, back and forth. Now, Eze misses, Rashford misses. Then Raya gives Arsenal a little bit of hope. Same thing happened. Pickford gave England a little bit of hope.
On that Jorginho pen.
Yes, exactly. And now you're like thinking, in both penalty shootouts, you're like, oh man, either one can win. But then Saka steps up, Gabriel steps up, and they miss. It's the exact same thing in both games, and I think it's just remarkable that happened like that. Because also, another thing is, like, I'm happy that PSG beat Arsenal.
Football won.
And I'm happy that Italy beat England. Football won again.
True.
So that's how I see that.
A slight bit of bias on our part, but anyways, no such thing. But what about that decision to give Gabriel the final penalty? Do you think that was because in hindsight, it's kind of rough because he was having such a good game, for him to ultimately be the one to lose it is.
Absolutely. I think he played a fantastic game in the 120 minutes. He played amazing. Put everything on the field to defend Arsenal's 1-0. And even when it was 1-1, he made a lot of big challenges. But I always saw that Gabriel had this overconfidence to him, right? It's sort of confidence that isn't natural, and it comes from something else that it's too much, right? And that's exactly what you see in a big pressure moment, like a fifth penalty kick. That pressure just ate him alive, and that confidence went straight out the window because he tried putting it top bins.
Yeah, bro thought he was Ronaldo.
He thought he was Maguire.
Yeah, he thought he was Harry Maguire.
That's who he thought it was, because Maguire is a defender, not overly confident, but he had a banger pen against Italy in that final.
Yeah.
Mikel Arteta said in the press conference that Gabriel made every single penalty in practices, but there's
ain't a Champions League final.
Exactly what I was gonna say. Practice makes perfect, but there's you never know how you're going to feel in a penalty shootout when that moment comes.
That's true.
And that's a decision from the coach. The coach, my first thought right now is thinking Montiel to get the winning penalty kick against France, because Montiel, he's not a big player for Argentina. But like the fact that Scaloni put him to take the kick is because it's a mentality thing. It's not necessarily how good have you been playing. How important are you to the squad? Is how good are you up here?
All right, guys, so that's our analysis of the Champions League final. Let us know what you thought about that. Before we wrap things up, why don't we give a little bit of a UEFA team of the season?
Absolutely.
Let's keep it just like strictly to the Champions League campaigns. Yeah. Let's start with goal. Who do you think deserves that goalkeeper spot?
Musso from Atletico Madrid.
I think it's hard to tell when you're being serious, man. I think we got to give it to Raya if we're being.
I think David Raya deserves it. Although I think he's overrated and he shouldn't be Spain's first choice in the World Cup. I think he's been the best goalie of the Champions League this season.
I think really defensively, it's almost for me an Arsenal sweep. Like I would say, I would have both Gabriel and Saliba be the center backs. I think. Nobody else is really coming to mind right now.
Yeah, it's also because when you do these these team of the seasons, it's like the teams that went the furthest are the ones that are going to be the ones that you pick. Although there might be better options somewhere else. But that's kind of how these team of the seasons work. Yeah, I'm okay with those two center backs. I'm okay with that. I honestly can't argue anything.
Who would you put at right back? Because I think I have a funny, not a funny, but I have an interesting pick for right back.
I'd put Trent.
For sure. But you know what? My pick I would be sticking in Madrid. I would put Valverde there.
Valverde at right back?
Yeah.
I mean he had the hat trick.
He had the hat trick against Man City.
I'm not gonna argue this because I love Valverde. I love how he plays. I've said this before.
Yeah.
I think he's one of my favorite players to watch. Period. In terms of South American midfielders, although we're putting him at right back right now, he's one of my favorite South American midfielders. And so let's do it. Let's get freaky with it.
I think we'll finagle it a little bit. We'll put Valverde there at right back.
Let's do it.
Left back. What are you thinking?
I really like Juan Capia.
Juan Capia.
I love it. I think he's a great player. I think he's very solid. It's another Arsenal player. But I think he had a fantastic game against PSG. A fantastic game.
But can we say for the whole Champions League season that he's?
Who would you put?
It's a good question, you know, because it's tough because you always want to say Nuno Mendes is like the guy. I'm struggling to find a left back this season, at least in the Champions League, that's blown me away. Maybe I'm forgetting someone, but
if we're putting Valverde on the right side, I'll have a defensive guy on the left side.
I can live with that.
My midfielders, I'm putting Vitinha, João Neves.
I would agree with those two picks. I think especially Vitinha, he won man of the match. I don't know if he really was man of the match of the Champions League final, but I think overall, that he's been probably the best midfielder in the world this season. I would very much have him there.
I think Pedri is a better midfielder, but Pedri hasn't turned up in the Champions League that much. He's been better in La Liga. So I would, unfortunately, as much as I love Pedri, and I think he has.
So you don't think Pedri gets in this at all?
It's difficult because I don't think Pedri has done that well in the Champions League. Although I think he's the best midfielder in the world.
Can I just put a little maybe I don't know if at least a little shout out to Leonard Carl, who I think
I've talked about him before. I think he's a piece in Bayern's tactics that is very underrated. Bayern's tactics, how they just go, they constantly press. He generates a lot from them. And I think at such a young age, what he's done is just absolutely incredible.
I agree. And just give him a little shout out. I don't know if he's a team of the season contender. So we'll say Vitinha and João Neves. We still got to come up with that last midfielder, though.
Let's see. We can't put Pedri there.
I would not be opposed to
We can't put Pedri there because no one else really comes to mind. There's no really 10 that hasn't been good because the 10 doesn't really exist right now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I would put Pedri because, my God, imagine that. Vitinha, João Neves, Pedri. I don't think you'd touch the ball for the whole game.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Those possession numbers in the Champions League final would be
ridiculous.
90-10.
Imagine that with Pedri and that PSG team against Arsenal. I would have fallen asleep.
I think that should be that's a formidable midfield right there. I'm gonna say for our front line, I think for me on the right has to be Olise.
Ooh, I don't know. I kind of like Doué.
No, I don't think this season Doué's been.
He's come up clutch for PSG, bro. He's come up clutch.
Didn't have the greatest Champions League final, though.
If it wasn't for him, PSG wouldn't even be in the final.
Yeah, but come on, Doué, the games that he played against, he disappeared a little bit against PSG, but his game against Madrid, I mean, he was fantastic. And maybe I'm looking at it from a point of view of his season as a whole, but I think for me, we gotta have some Bayern representation in this team, and I think Olise is our best shout.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take this one. Although I think Doué has been massively underrated this season.
Sure.
Massively underrated.
I don't hate that. I think for me on the left though, it's gonna
Kvaradona.
Vicha Kvaratskhelia.
Beautiful pronunciation. I gotta say that's very good.
I try my best. I mean, once the knockouts.
How do you say Szoboszlai?
I just say Sobozlai, but
is that accurate? To my Hungarians out there, can you confirm?
It's probably not.
Can you pronounce? I have a difficult one.
Which one?
Ben White.
I don't know. That's hard.
Yeah, it's a difficult one.
If I only started giving you Albanian names to try to pronounce, man.
Give me one.
Well, if I pronounce it, you're gonna know how.
No, but it'd be cool. I don't have the tongue for that. Let's go. Give me one.
Regbetsai.
Regbetsai.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
There we go.
But if you read it, throw that up. If you read it though, you wouldn't know how to pronounce it. But yeah, I think getting back to the point. I mean, once the knockouts rolled around, Kvara, he was fantastic.
Kvara's my guy. Absolutely.
He has to be that left winger.
Now going into the striker, I'm not putting Mbappe there.
Ooh.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
talking
not.
About top scorer.
Yeah, I don't care. I just don't care.
You're not
because
feeling
when Mbappe didn't play,
Mm-hmm.
Real Madrid won. When Mbappe did play, they got knocked out of the Champions League.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care that he scored goals against
Olympiacos.
like some small teams. I don't care. He stat pads against small teams, and he doesn't perform when it matters most.
That's fair. So
I'm not putting Mbappe up there.
throwing a little Harry Kane then?
I'm throwing in a little bit of Harry Kane in there for sure because he's one of my favorite players this season. Also
Yeah.
a little bit of Julian Alvarez. Come on.
We got to give him credit for that free kick against
Oh
Barcelona.
my goodness.
That was absolutely fantastic.
You know, I always say like, I'm a River Plate fan, and this is biased, but I really don't like how he's at Atletico Madrid, man. I really would like to see him at another club.
Mm-hmm.
He's been linked to PSG. He's been linked to Barcelona. I really hope he leaves Atletico Madrid because I don't think he's ever going to win anything there with Simeone
Not
as the
really.
coach. I think Atletico Madrid played a style of football this year that was much nicer than other years.
But that's
They've been
a
in
comparative
They've
thing.
been no. They've been an attacking team this year compared to no. They've been an attacking team.
Compared to
No,
their
not even
own.
compared to themselves. They've been an attacking team. Take that as you will, because they're a team that will attack really hard for a few minutes and defend really well, which I think is good. But still,
I agree, but I think they're a team without a whole lot of ambition. Like, you can see how many times this season in La Liga, for example, did they just throw away games? Because at the end of the
absolutely.
day, they finish in the top 4, the top 5. They don't care anymore, and it's a team that what is the realistic next step for them? They're gonna try
getting a new coach.
Yeah,
That's what I would say. Although Simeone is going to stay, that just, to me,
Yeah.
it tells me, Julian Alvarez, you need to get out of there. That's what it tells me.
that's fair. But all right, I guess we'll put Harry Kane up there. Little honorable mention to the boys.
I will give you Harry Kane, but we'll see in the World
Mm-hmm.
Cup when Julian Alvarez does better than Harry Kane.
All right, well, only time will tell. Any flops that come to mind this season in the Champions
Mbappe.
League? Fair.
I don't know. We didn't talk about Lamine Yamal.
Barcelona had a very strange Champions
Yeah.
League campaign. They
I
never
mean,
really
not
looked.
really, not really. Hold on, because I know what you're saying with that. I know what you're gonna go with that, but like, they did the mistakes that they always do in the Champions
true.
League.
That's
So it's
true.
not really strange to me seeing what's happening to Barcelona.
It's a team that never kept a clean sheet. That, some of the results. Okay, yeah, they killed Newcastle, but and we talked about this in our previous Champions League analysis. Some of the games, I mean, that's a huge loss to Chelsea. We'll lose to PSG, which, okay, anybody can lose to PSG. Even giving up multiple goals to Victoria Pilsen. And, going through both games against Atletico Madrid, getting a red card, and we can debate, the merits of the red card.
Nah, they're gonna say it's a robbery, but come on, guys, that's not.
Yeah,
Not in
Lamine,
this set.
great season from him overall,
Absolutely.
of course. But I think, you have to give it to Elise for what's been accomplished.
Yeah,
if we're
what's just
comparing
what
the
he
two.
produced in the Champions League, right? I think Lamine Yamal is the best player in the world without a doubt.
In terms of
without
talent, at the very least, I would agree.
No, without a doubt, he's the best player in the world. But in this Champions League, where we're just looking at Champions League matches, I'll put Elise over him. But I wouldn't say he's a flop. We wanted to bring up flops. I wouldn't say that he was a flop. Absolutely not. And I don't know. There's not much flops that come to mind. I'd say maybe the whole entire Liverpool team was a flop.
True. True.
McAllister did not have a good season in the Prem
I
or
give
in the Champions League.
Szoboszlai his flowers. He was
Szoboszlai has been amazing.
He's done well.
Absolutely, but that Liverpool team has been a flop. Another thing that comes to mind is City. City has been very bland this year. Haaland has not come up. I'd say he's a flop in the Champions League because he just doesn't come up in big games at all. It just doesn't happen.
Harsh.
I'm sorry, but he just kind of has a mental block. It seems like whenever he plays a final, whenever he plays a very important game. Chelsea, they're not flops.
No.
You kind of expect it from them, especially if you
I'd
have
say the
Liam
entire-
Rosinger as your coach.
I'd say the entire country of Italy has flopped in the Champions
Yeah,
League this
we've
season.
known that because it's also like if your expectations are here and then a team just is here,
Juve,
that's a flop.
Inter, Milan, even
but
Atalanta.
they're like here and they went to
horrid,
here, bro.
horrid
It's
season.
whatever.
Any bright teams that we want to talk about? I'm thinking of.
Okay, there's obviously Sporting that has done a good job, and then the team that Sporting won against.
Bodo Glimt.
There you go.
They've had an absolute killer of a season.
We
Give them
cannot
their
forget
flowers.
Bodo Glimt because there was that period of time where we were like Bodo Glimt is gonna win the Champions League. We were just saying that, but it was just like it was such a remarkable season from them, and absolutely, the work that they've done to get as far as they did is like just as impressive as what PSG have done.
It's fantastic,
Absolutely.
and maybe someone like a Bodo Glimt can pull back the narrative of money in football. Maybe it can give us hope that that teams can succeed without having an unbelievable amount of
An egregious amount
of oil money, of Saudi, Middle Eastern backing.
Yep. It's part of soccer. It's part of soccer now. That's how it is now. And but Bogo Glimt, they showed us that you don't necessarily need that. You need a strong team with young players that are willing to die for your coach.
And it'll be interesting to see where all these teams go in the future, the impact that money has, the impact that just talent, grit, determination will have going forward. And I'm really excited to see what happens going forward next season in the Champions League. We'll see if Paris can three-peat.
So I don't think Paris is going to three-peat. Just real quick, let's bounce on that. I think Real Madrid is going to win the Champions League next year.
You think so?
Yeah.
You think they'll pick it back up?
Yeah. We don't know who the signing is yet because we're in the middle of that transfer saga where a $150 million signing. I don't know. I think it might be Olise. That's who I think, but we'll see what happens. But either way, I think Madrid is going to win the Champions League next year.
All right, guys, so that has been our final UEFA Champions League 25-26 analysis, as well as our team of the season. Just to recap, we got Raya in goal, a center-back partnership of Gabriel and Saliba. We got Valverde at right back, Hincapié at left back, and we have a midfield of Vitinha, João Neves, and Pedri, and we have a front line of Olise, Harry Kane, and Kvaratskhelia.
Let us know what you guys think about our team of the season. Let us know what you think about our analysis. This has been the Tiki-Taka Tiki-Talk. To keep us alive, please subscribe.